Okay, so I am finally back with another video. So yeah, in this video it's still rehab training, but at this point I've actually introduced more sprints. I'm starting to reintroduce it. So it had been 3 months since I had last actually done any sort of sprinting of any form, and this was my first day back doing it. So yeah, first session was actually very quick. I ran, I think it was 1:49 from first foot contact. Second session ended up being sort of just as quick. It was I think 1:48, 1:47 from first foot contact, which technically that could be potentially like a 1:87 no reaction time. Now it's important to note that that's like a very rough conversion, because with a 2-point start you can obviously like slow it down and see that before I start I'm sort of loading the start up, so I'm utilizing my tendons a little more, getting that stretch reflex, whereas from blocks or a 3-point start I'm going to be in more of a static position, exploding out. I'm not going to be loading the start up as much, or at least I shouldn't be doing that, right? That's not what I'm allowed to do when I'm racing, so I should practice how I race. So yeah, it's obviously just take a grain of salt. Like, it's hard to compare a lot of sprints unless it's done in a very specific way that is repeatable and on top of that measurable. So 2-point starts very hard to get data. You can get rough data from them, of course, but it's never going to be as good as actually just going out and running a 100 with the starter, because that's going to give you some more accurate data on where you're at. But that's just a little rant that I was going on about timing and why it's important to always take times with a grain of salt. Is it hand timed? Is it laser timed? Is it just timed based off of a feel? Like, I think I was running at 11.5. I think there's actually a comment of mine on a YouTube video somewhere where I think I said I was like, I'm pretty sure I ran like an 11.6 or an 11.8 based off of just this guy in front of me running an 11.4, when in reality I was a good bit behind him, and it was like on grass in sports day, like hand timed. It wasn't really a serious number and nothing to really go off of. But yeah, just a little rant there about timing, because I think it can be a very convoluted subject of like, I think this guy is going to run, it's like speed right now, right? People might be like, I think Speed's going to run a 10.5, or he says he's ran a 10.5. It's like, how was that 10.5 timed? Was it hand timed? If so, maybe it's more realistic that he would run like a low 11, which I actually think his time would be a low 11 legitimate time. I could actually make a video on this. If people want to see me make a video on Speed's 100 meter time estimate based off of data that I've collected, me and my friend Kyle, when I was in LA, we actually figured out roughly some of his splits. I then did a little bit more myself as well, finding out some of his, I think it was his 31 to 50 split, and we actually like worked out that it's a legitimate 50 that he ran, because I actually went to the exact track that he ran at with my coach John and Donovan Hawkins and Josh, and we were able to sort of figure out the lines, and I can verify that it's a legitimate 50 meter, and he actually ran very quick for the 50. Like, for someone that's untrained in sprints, at least, very fast guy. Anyway, I digress a little bit too much. If you do want to see that video, let me know and I can throw it together. It won't take too long to do. I will just need to sort of gather some clips of Speed for, I guess, just like filler content. But yeah, let me know down below. So yeah, that was the sprints reintroduced. I then started to just get a little bit more knee pain. Like, my knee pain was spiking up, and it's not really surprising that was the case, especially considering that when I'm pushing out from the start, I'm obviously pushing from my left knee, which is my left leg, which is currently my knee that has the issues. And when I'm pushing out, it's essentially like a 1 foot broad jump, right? It's that sort of level of, it's like that angle coming out, and then you're obviously pushing off that foot last. So yeah, it's pretty much a 1 foot broad jump that I'm doing into my start, and I think that was just firing my knee. That combined with the fact that I decided to do some straight leg box jumps at, I think they were like 32.3 inches. So those, coupled with the starts, just kind of cooked my knee. My knee was not ready like at all for the starts, for the jumps combined. So that's sort of where I was at with training. So then as well, I kind of dialed back the intensity with squats. So I was obviously, you saw in previous videos, I was squatting very high. In this video, I dialed back the intensity a little bit and took it a bit easier with all things that were pissing my knee off. And generally I did feel a lot better, but I think it was just the reintroduction of those things just kind of flared that knee up again, which just wasn't ideal. I just keep making these bad decisions and then it turns into something worse. So then as well, I had the sports hernia. That was another issue. And with the sports hernia, it started off that it was just a small pain, and then I tried to sprint through it on the Thursday session when I ran the 147 from first foot contact. And yeah, that session seemed to really just blow up my sports hernia issues even more. So at this point I was also doing a road trip. So I drove 4,000 miles in 10 days in America, and yeah, that just also taxed my recovery past what I was really able to actually recover from. So it just wasn't really an ideal situation. Because of that, I did want to explore America, travel around a bit. I also wanted to try and keep up with my training, but those proved to sort of be a hard thing to do. I still obviously kept up with it. It was also rehab training, so this isn't even training that's like very physically taxing and intensive, so it should have been easy enough to recover from. But I think you get to a point with training and with recovery especially where if you're not really getting good quality recovery, even if it's very basic training, you're going to struggle to just recover in general. So I think I probably should have just pegged back the volumes a little bit in training, just taken things a lot easier, maybe even just sprinted at 80% for a bit longer, up to maybe like 30-40 meters, and then start to ease in maybe some max effort 10s, 20s, 30s, and that would have been a better strategy. But I just didn't think I think it's always easy to look back, especially when you have an injury, and think retrospectively of like what you could do better and what you can do better, but it's hard to obviously be able to apply it in the present sometimes, especially when, so like I have obviously John as my coach, but I have to like message him back and forth to get guidance, and it's just something that can be a bit of an issue sometimes. Like, I'm very grateful for him coaching me, for him wanting to coach me, and I very appreciate it. So it's something that I'm going to sort of stick with. I'm always going to do what he prescribes, but at the end of the day, I also need to try and make my own decisions on what's wise to do and what's not wise to do, when to sort of push and when to ease off of things. And this was a scenario where I should have just eased off of things a little bit, but I just pushed a bit too hard, too soon, and blew up my adductor. And that wasn't even the worst of it. You know, in next week's video, you will see me sort of pushing through even more pain, and then I just get to a point where I can't even really sprint anymore. Like, I can walk without pain, that's always a good sign, but even just jogging was causing like a little bit of pain, maybe like a 3 out of 10 pain. Whereas now, as I film this video on the Wednesday and as it comes out on the Friday, I'm sort of on a good track with it. I know what I need to do. I can sort of learn from these past mistakes, take things just way easier, and then slowly come back. I do think it's going to mean that I'm not going to get a full outdoor season, unfortunately, or even an outdoor season at all at this point. I'll wait and see still. I don't want to write it off just yet, but it's just looking more and more unlikely as the weeks go on. I think sort of my cut-off point will be if I'm not doing any sort of regular training by the 14th of July, then I'm going to have to just say, right, that's probably no outdoor season, and I will just solely focus on sprinting for next year and long jump for next year, because that's going to be a big push, and I'm excited for that. I'm very excited to start doing some more regular training soon. I'm excited to just be doing strength work, be back to doing normal stuff, because I've pretty much had sort of a year, essentially since my season ended last year, where I've just been doing this sort of weird kind of like training plan that's just not really been working. But yeah, that is it for the video. I think I kind of just rambled a little bit. Hopefully some of it was useful. But I shall see you in the next episode, where I am in Florida training with John and some of the guys. Well, mainly watching them train, actually, to be honest.